For 3 years, Bill Worcester and the Sons of Serizawa have traveled across the country and even across the globe to the annual G-Fest convention. However, with many of my SOS brethren missing in action, I took it upon myself to record this year's expedition, but not without the help of some trustworthy individuals. I'm KaijuNoir, and this is the G-Fest.
Now, it's up to us to make a choice. We know what it's worth to save the earth. Come raise your voice. Save the earth. Save the earth. Save the earth. Save the earth. See the evil problem around us. Save the earth. Save the earth. Save the earth. Save the earth. And the solution, stop pollution. Save the earth. 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 And the solution to stop pollution. Save the earth. Save the earth. Save the earth.
Hello people of the internet, and welcome to another installment in the KaijuNoir's G-Fest Experience series of videos that me, Andrew, Brayden, and Patrick are all doing over the course of the G-Fest 2017, G-Fest 24, whatever you want to call it, weekend. So we all kind of decided that we wanted to do a commentary on a particular video. The only question was, what kind of video? I remember at one point, one of us suggested Shin Godzilla, considering who was coming here at this year's G-Fest, but considering the differing opinions of this particular movie, the majority opinion, the majority, which is wrong, fake opinion,
fake news,
fake opinions, of the movie, we decided we should look for an alternative. So, due to the unfortunate passing of Yoshimitsu Banno this year, we decided to pay tribute to him by doing a commentary on the uniquely made Godzilla vs. Hedorah. So, before we get into this, guys, what has been your history? Actually, I want to know, when was the first time you saw this movie or heard of this movie, and when was the last time you saw it?
I think with me it was back in the early days when Blockbuster and Hollywood
Video.
Yeah, Hollywood Video was a thing.
Yeah.
Back then I used to watch a lot of Godzilla films on VHS. You know, films like, of course, like King Kong vs. Godzilla, Mothra vs. Godzilla, and the likes. And so here and there I would see certain movies, Godzilla films that I hadn't watched, and I just kind of just left them there in favor of the ones I watched the most. And one of them was Smog Monster, aka Hedorah. So I think I watched it at the age of 6, which looking back now, I'm not sure if that was a good thing or not. But, you know, as a kid, I was confused. I had no idea what I was watching, except that I liked the fight scenes between Godzilla and Hedorah. And I just didn't watch it again until, I think, around maybe high school it was, or, yeah, I want to say mid-high school. I watched it, I was like, alright, it's not bad, it's okay-ish. And then I watched it again around college. I thought it was I enjoyed it a lot more than I did last time, so I've only seen the movie, I think, 3 times in my life, and, 3 times, and it's more like, I'm kind of like in the middle, I would say.
Alright, excellent.
I got it for a birthday gift when I was like, maybe 6 or 7. And I couldn't watch the whole thing for the longest time because it was too weird for me as a kid.
Right.
And some of the stuff like the people getting turned into skeletons and whatever when he flies over, sort of made me feel ugh. So I hadn't sat down and watched it all the way through until, you know, I was maybe late into middle school. And then I've seen it like maybe, I don't know, twice since then. So, yeah.
I saw Godzilla vs. Hedorah when it was on this. I saw it when I was shortly after I'd gotten into Godzilla, which would have been like 8, 9, 10, 11-ish, one around those years. It was playing on the Sci-Fi Channel. I taped it off the Sci-Fi Channel with the dub, which is the version we're going to be watching against my wishes, and not the AIP dub, for the record, and the more famous one with the Great Immortal Wine is like, what a beautiful house it is. But anyways, saw it the first time, hated it, like with a passion. Then I got the now out of print DVD.
The Sony one.
Yes.
Okay.
Which had the Japanese language version with English subtitles, and liked it quite a bit more, but still wasn't really
sold on it.
Wasn't really sold on it. Yeah,
Okay.
I was kind of like kind of a middling film in my opinion. Parts that worked, parts that didn't work. However, fast forward a few more years, and I've come to like the film, and I've actually come to like the film even more. I don't think it's what. I'll keep going for a little bit.
Sure thing.
Last time I watched it was after I found out Banno had passed away. I decided I was going to write a very in-depth article about him for Toho Kingdom. I didn't want to do a typical obituary like he was born this year, he died this year, and like everybody else is doing. I want to do something a little more special.
Yeah.
So I decided to go really in depth into everything that he worked on, from this movie to stuff that he wrote and produced later on. So I watched Hedorah, I think, 2 or 3 times in preparation for that article to really get a good sense of the movie, better than I ever had before. And that would have been when did Banno pass away? Like February?
I believe February or March 20. Yeah, it was. February.
This year, right?
Yeah,
this year. It was this year.
No, you're checking. All right.
But yeah, when I found he passed away, that's where I decided to really analyze the film in great detail. And my opinion on it from this point right now is that I think it's a pretty good movie. I don't think it's one of my favorites, but it's a movie that I think it's got some notable issues, but it's a very unique film, definitely an unforgettable film, and it definitely leaves a very strong impression. And it's a film that I think is one of the most interesting, in a sense, it's one of the most interesting Godzilla films because it's one of the most directorial signature Godzilla films. I mean, Banno directed this film in such a unique way that it really stands out amongst all the others.
So it's kind of like the key representation of auteur theory in the Godzilla series.
Yeah, you could say that.
Almost like maybe like a Showa equivalent of Biollante, perhaps.
I would say perhaps a little bit, yeah.
And he passed away in May.
Okay.
On May 7th, 2017. So super recent.
Oh, yeah, that's very recent.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, so thank you very much for all that information, guys.
Yeah.
For me, I first saw this movie, I believe, within a compilation of movie trailers within a documentary called Hollywood Dinosaurs, which was a retrospective on monsters, dinosaur and dinosaur-like monsters in cinema. And so I, too, was very terrified by seeing the trailer alone. And it wasn't until the days of Hollywood Video, Blockbuster, that I found the movie on the Sony DVD, watched it, and was quite surprised by how unique, in quotation marks, the movie was. And eventually I kind of gained a fondness for the movie due to a particular friend of mine who happens to adore this movie. And so it's kind of got some bit of a sentimental value to some extent due to the film's association with people I know. But I haven't seen this movie in quite a while. I want to say I haven't seen it since I saw it on randomly on the Sci-Fi Channel maybe 2-3 years ago. So I'm pretty interested in seeing this movie along with friends because history has told me that watching movies, watching any Godzilla movie is a hell of a lot better when you're watching it with friends who appreciates this genre as much as you do. So without further ado, let's get started. We are going to start right from the Toho Company Limited logo, everybody. So get your DVD or get your Sony DVD or Kraken Blu-ray or Japanese Blu-ray out. So we are
get your laser disc.
Get your laser disc out. I'm sure those exist in Japan at some point in time.
8mm
reel out.
Get
the projector.
Get the cassette tapes that may not even exist for that matter.
Get your MP4 ready for you millennials out there.
What were those not before Blu-rays? Like the really short
HD DVDs.
Get your HD DVDs.
Get your HD DVDs out. Get ready in your HD DVD expansion to your Xbox 360.
Hedorah definition.
Yeah. Right. So get ready, and we are going to play in 3, 2, 1, go!
Hold on to your butts.
What do you guys think of this new theme?
It has a lot of sentimental value to me because they've used it pretty much throughout the 70s movies, I want to say. I could be wrong.
Megalon.
Megalon used it.
No,
Did Gigan use it?
No.
No,
Oh,
I think it's just this and Megalon.
You're right. Okay, so that was a stupid comment I just made. Well, I just heard because I watched a lot of the later Showa movies as some of my first Godzilla movies.
Yeah.
The theme, this like drunken walking,
Yeah.
like this like drunkard theme.
I mentioned last time when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
It sounds like the orchestra's just waking up from a long nap.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like, waking up from like a really bad hangover.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like solidified in my mind as iconic to me as much as the da da dun theme. Yeah. What about you guys?
I think it's pretty much like the standard like hero Godzilla theme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of wish it would for a giant monster hero. You would have expected something better.
Yeah.
Then
This, though, on the other hand, is like the greatest song ever put to recording.
There we got Tomoyuki Tanaka, who really, really wished his name wasn't on it. Executive producer.
Against his will.
Right, no, what's the name of that pseudonym that everyone used to use?
Alan Smithy.
Executive producer, Alan Smithy.
Yeah.
And we just missed it, but earlier you saw a screenplay by a man named Kaoru Mabuchi. That's actually Takashi Kimura's pseudonym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was that his Alan Smithy?
Yeah, because I think it was after either Frankenstein versus Baragon or Roll the Gargantuans, he decided that Tokusatsu was stuff that he didn't really care that much about anymore. So to him, it was just a job, and he didn't want his official name being attached to these kind of films. So starting in the mid-60s, he created his pseudonym Kaoru Mabuchi, and he stuck with that. And yeah, I'm gonna be like the film historian throughout most of this.
Absolutely, yeah.
We're just gonna be sitting back here being stupid. So
right.
Turn it over to Patrick.
Yeah. Anyways, Kimura wrote the script and turned it over to Banno, and Banno was absolutely appalled by it. He told him flat out, "You're not even trying with this."
Right.
And so he proceeded to rewrite.
He was like, "No, really?
No. My vision, you have tainted it."
Hey, we got Haru Nakajima there.
Yeah.
And then
That's
Banno proceeded to rewrite the script, and supposedly Kimura became a little more enthusiastic with the project as they went along. But how much of the script is his, I cannot say for sure. And the actress performing, who performed the song, Keiko Mari, this is her one and only appearance in cinema in general. Her primary career is as a singer in Japan.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. And what is your opinion, guys, on the Save the Earth song?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's nice and cheesy. I love
Both versions.
Yes,
both versions.
It's got the 3 C's. It can't be corny and cheesy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will admit it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure you'll see. What? Oh, hey! I just never noticed. There's an Ultraman toy hanging down there.
Oh wait, I see it. Yeah.
This and Revenge are like the only films to feature Godzilla in toy form.
Yeah, that's kind of strange because unlike Godzilla's Revenge, where it's kind of ambiguous
Yeah, it's
as
ambiguous
to whether
if
or
he's
not
a real thing.
Yeah. Oh, there's King Ghidorah. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Hey, let's make a toy out of the creature that nearly just killed us,
Our
like
planet.
on two occasions.
Yeah.
Those are really heavy eyebrows.
Wait, is that? No, that couldn't be.
Yeah.
What?
I thought, yeah, that little frog there.
Mhm.
At first, I thought that was Doraemon, but then I was like, no.
Maybe it's that frog from like the Hello Kitty
Yeah.
Sanrio thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, but I don't know if it wears pants, but yeah. All right then. So, what was the thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, the idea of like Godzilla toys existing within the Godzilla franchise. We even had a little bit of that in the American version of Godzilla '84, right? Godzilla '85.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the
Grand
kid playing
Son.
it up with it on the floor, yeah.
Right, and Godzilla Final Wars, which is the Japanese version, both of them.
Which is kind of weird, like it's Raymond Burr's grandson playing with it, like, is his grandfather okay with him playing with a Godzilla toy?
What are you doing?
What are you doing there?
Junior, put that down.
Well, anyways, I mean, with like films like Godzilla's Revenge and Hedorah, Revenge was the turning point where the franchise became geared exclusively towards children.
Yeah.
Right.
And so this is kind of like the merchandising is kind of like playing up to the child. Ideas,
And unlike the newer Ultraman, it does not factor into the plot. The toys do not factor into the plot.
Yeah, it's just kind of like universe building, sort of. And it shows like his immense love for Godzilla and monsters.
True.
Yeah.
Although if it was me, I would have used have the child like drawing Godzilla. But then again, you gotta advertise toys somehow. Yeah.
Would you guys like to hear a little bit about Yoshimitsu Banno's like beginnings and such while we're going through the
Sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
There it goes.
I mean, I gotta be honest, it's the only movie I know he's been associated with.
He was an assistant director for Kurosawa, wasn't he, on some films?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Banno started off as in Toho, and he was assistant to Kurosawa on films like Throne of Blood, for instance.
Yeah.
And Kurosawa was generally very pleased with the stuff that he would do for him as an assistant director. And later on, in 1969, I believe, he was helping out Tanaka with a film for a multimedia exhibit called Birth of the Japanese Islands, which was basically it's like a big multimedia exhibit. You go into this room and you have like big screens playing a film behind you. You have like miniature volcanoes and atmospheric smoke and stuff going on. And Tanaka was very pleased with what he had done there. And later on, Banno pitched to him, what if we do a pollution-based monster? Because Banno had been walking by an industrial facility, and he saw just how nasty and heavily polluted the water was. And he said, what if an alien organism came down to Earth, landed in there, and from there produced a monster? And he pitched that to Tanaka, and Tanaka liked it, and Tanaka told him that he could make this Godzilla film.
Okay, because I've always wondered, like, if he didn't like... Because this was like Yoshimitsu Banno's one and only movie, and I wondered with Tomoyuki Tanaka out of commission, why did he give this movie to a newcomer as opposed to Jun Fukuda, who had at this point already directed 2 movies, I believe.
Yeah, and also to put a little put things in a little more perspective. The claims that Tanaka absolutely hated Yoshimitsu Banno have been exaggerated, to say the least. I mean, it is true that he was not a fan of Hedorah.
Yeah,
that's very. And he was not hospitalized before film.
Okay.
He was hospitalized during production.
Okay.
Yeah. And Tanaka had actually visited the set when they were filming the fish head scenes in the night.
Okay.
And according to Banno, he just stood there, didn't say a word. And
I just made a bad mistake.
Like, what is this?
And then about midway through production, he became hospitalized and was out of commission and didn't see the film until afterward. Now stories in terms of how he reacted upon seeing the film vary. Terushi Nakano, the special effects director, states that he reported the famous "You've ruined Godzilla" claim. Yeah. Banno himself said in a 2005 interview with Brett Hominick that Tanaka's response was something more to the effect of, "Well, I guess it's too late to change that," and just
it's too late. May have gone too far in the
yeah. But the claim that the insistence that he outright banned Banno from making movies is really not true. A few years later, in 1974, Tanaka produced a huge, expensive disaster epic, which you guys probably have heard of, called Prophecies of Nostradamus.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically a big anti-pollution epic done to an apocalyptic scale. And Banno was the screenwriter for that film. And here's the fascinating thing, is that Banno was handpicked by Tanaka to write that film. So he wasn't a fan of Tanaka. Was definitely not a fan of Hedorah. He was not a fan of the way Godzilla was characterized and the overall look and tone of the movie. Yeah. But he did recognize that Banno had some good ideas and some good potential, and he was a good, solid worker. Right. And also, according to Guy Mariner Tucker's really obscure book Age of the Gods, when they announced a Godzilla film for 1975, they hadn't picked Teruaki Godzilla the script yet. They announced a film for that year. Tanaka had briefly considered Banno to actually direct the movie, but that never came through. And eventually, we of course got Teruaki Godzilla with Honda coming back. Oh yeah. But yeah, so it's a very widely repeated story that Tanaka hated the movie and just banned Banno and killed his career overnight, and that's really not true. Right. So, and after Hedorah, immediately the year afterward, he made a film called Cruel Famine Continent, which was a documentary. Which was about the famine issues in Sahara. The Sahara Desert. And he actually made a lot of documentaries throughout the remainder of the 1970s. And in the 1980s, he became a producer for Toho, producing a lot of animated films like Techno Police 21C and an animated adaptation of The Wizard of Oz, actually.
I see. All right, so he's definitely had quite a resume post Hedorah. Yep. Okay. I guess he never got. I'm assuming, he never got like that prominent of a role. No, he wasn't chosen to make a big fiction feature. Right. Yeah. this was his one chance to rise above the ranks, but I guess he didn't do a good enough job, so he didn't lose his rank. He just stayed where he was at. He didn't go any higher nor any lower.
Yeah, despite the fact that also I've heard that with Yoshimitsu Banno, he's tried a lot to make another Godzilla movie. There was the IMAX to 3D
3D to the max.
Yeah, 3D to the max, which is going to feature Deathla, a relative to Hedorah, I suppose.
Yeah, or it was kind of like a spirit. I guess from when it was pitched, from what I understand, because this was like years ago. This was like probably 2007, 2008.
Yeah,
when it was set for a supposedly 2009 release. It was pitched as kind of like a spiritual successor.
Yeah. And of course that slowly turned into Godzilla 2014, which I think he produced that.
He's an executive.
He was an executive producer. Okay.
He's the guy who put his money on put his money on the line.
So we basically have him to thank for the MonsterVerse.
Right.
Yeah. So what happened was Banno in the 1980s formed his own company called Audiovisual Productions Incorporated, which was specialized for developing IMAX features.
Oh, okay.
He developed a process called JPAX, which is like a Japanese version of IMAX.
Oh.
And that's why Godzilla 3D Max was pitched as an IMAX movie.
Oh, okay.
The problem, and so what happened was that Toho, after Final Wars, sold him the rights to make a Godzilla film if he could find the funding for it. And that's why it never actually came to be, because he could not get full backing for it.
Right, and the only way he could get backing if it was for something else entirely.
And eventually, it got rewritten as Godzilla vs. Deathla and a few other versions, and then eventually got passed over to Legendary, and that's why Banno got the credit as executive producer, because it was his buying the rights from Toho, selling them back, and giving them Legendary that allowed Godzilla 2014 to be made. So,
do you think maybe if he was still around today with the success of 2014, if he tried it again, you think that would have gotten the funds to make at least either Deathla or a sequel to Hedorah like he always wanted?
Probably not.
There's the big guy.
Yep, there he is.
One thing I will say, one thing I love about Terushi Nakano is that he always finds a unique way to introduce Godzilla in every single movie.
Yeah.
Here he rises from the sky.
It's the line
in front of a literal rising sun.
Yeah, but also like in Gigan, he makes his intro breathing fire at the camera. And Terushi Godzilla, there's that like nice rising behind the building stuff.
Yeah.
Before the camera pans up his body and such.
I do want to say, Patrick, how much are you aware of the next project that Yoshimitsu Banno tried to work on after the success of Godzilla 2014, where he wanted to essentially make Godzilla 3D to the max, but with Gamera instead. And he had a monster called Gaira, which was like this walrus monster that eventually becomes this big alien monster that had that was essentially Deathla.
I don't know all that much about it. I do know his storyline was basically more or less what he'd been trying with Godzilla vs. Deathla, just with Gamera thrown in there. But yeah, he was trying to get that off the ground as well, find funding for it, because his company alone cannot produce that. He needs someone to help fund it. But But I don't know all that much about the finer details of it.
Okay, yeah, because since nothing ever came out of that, years after it was announced, I can only assume that once again he couldn't find the backing for that. He couldn't make lightning strike twice with Godzilla 2014.
Yeah, and given that Katakawa Dai still is unsure about bringing Gamera back, that wouldn't help matters.
I mean, you gotta give Banno credit for at least not giving up.
Yeah, that's true. That shows a lot of great passion.
Yeah. Now, if only we can wait for someone to eventually make like a fan comic of Godzilla vs. Deathla. Ooh, I do remember
the 66 suit too.
Right.
Yeah.
Or 65, whatever.
It is not aged well at all.
No, it's not.
Especially the eyes. It has almost like blank zombie-like eyes.
Yeah. You can tell in Sea Monster like the deterioration of it throughout production.
Yeah.
His face just gets more rugged
and the brows seem to get higher and higher. He's more and higher.
He's more Cookie Monster-esque in this one.
He's more Cookie Monster than Kaiju.
But it's interesting. Is this? I guess that was like their lesson in we can't use these suits in the water then because this is what happens to
Or maybe
them.
the suit is like I guess maybe they turn like that giant water tank. It's like as the home for suits to die.
I guess
the place for dying suits to go.
Yeah, that and explosions.
Yeah. And the Son of Godzilla suit also is used in Gigan.
Yep.
For
Yeah.
water suits.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
water is not kind to the material.
Nor is it
Yes.
kind to the
Foam,
the suit actors themselves.
neither that.
Like how many times did Nakajima almost drown to death?
Many times.
Too many times. Yeah.
Too many times.
Yeah.
One too many times.
One too many times.
It was imagine one time. Yes, one too many.
It's one too many.
Yeah, and if you need an example of explosions, just ask Haru Nakajima how it was during the set of Iran. Thing
Yes.
blew up right next to his nuts.
Yes.
How that guy?
Gracious, great balls of fire.
How that man is still walking today is beyond me. But he is
This guy's pulling a discount Serizawa here with covering up the one
Yeah,
eye.
Yeah.
I did want to comment on that when he first
Yeah.
showed up. That very rarely do we get to see human characters receive bodily
Right,
harm,
right. Yeah.
and so yeah, this is definitely like one of the clear signs that this was another another director behind the scenes. Because from what I understand, I could be wrong though. Ishiro Honda was never too keen on gore, right? Because I know they had like blood in certain cases, just like leaking, running down from the head, or maybe running down from the hand. But we never get to see anything more graphic than that, especially now when it came to the monsters themselves.
Yeah, Honda generally saw himself as an entertainment director.
Mhm.
Yeah, he wasn't really about being edgy. He was just making films for the audience for more often than not.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting you mentioned the eye thing. That's kind of like a recurring motif throughout this movie. You know, Dr. Yano loses one eye.
And so does Godzilla, yeah.
Yeah, Godzilla. And then Godzilla.
Symbolism.
And then
Pulls out the Hedra's eyes.
Yeah, Godzilla punches Hedorah in the eye in response. Yep.
What do you think that was a reference for in Banno's
Symbolism. That's
Well, I know that, but like, what do you think he was directly referencing?
What does it symbolize? It symbolizes symbolism.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Duh.
It's like poetry. It sort of rhymes.
Better shut your eye out, kid.
Hedorah's the key to all this.
You see my nice Hedorah right here. Too bad I gotta eat it later.
Yeah, I wish you luck on that, Mr. Lucas.
Now, this kid,
Yeah.
as far as children actors and these things go,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's not bad.
He's not the worst.
Nobody ever really complains about this particular
No.
child actor.
Like the American dub when he's going Papa,
Yeah.
that's unbearable.
Well,
But like he's no worse than Ichiro or the kid from Megalon.
He is the kid from
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They all look alike.
Yeah. All right.
That's
for that.
racist.
That's not a racist thing. They're child's
Yes.
Asian actors.
Yeah. Or any of the Gamera kids for that matter.
Yeah, see, with the
yeah.
Gamera kids, they have like such a prominent role where they are like straight up the heroes of this story.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, that's clearly not the case with this movie.
No.
Where like the scientist the father, he's clearly doing all the work.
Yeah, the kid really adds nothing of substance.
Yeah.
Oh, he does actually come up with the idea of drawing out Hedorah, which is what actually ends up killing him.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm wrong.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's actually been like one of the
That's a reoccurring theme too.
Yeah, that's actually been one of like the major tropes in this genre. Of like the child always coming up with the brilliant plan to
Yeah.
save the day.
And the adults are idiots and
Yeah. It was like, or the child like points out something that the
military is like, oh, yes.
oh.
Listen to this 5-year-old. He knows
Yeah.
what he's talking about.
That's one of like the few jokes I actually really liked from what was it? Monster X Strikes Back, Attack the G8 Summon, where it's like, I got an idea. Let's call it Gulala.
Yeah,
And then they
That's
kick him
stupid.
out.
Get him out of here. Get him out.
Little piece of garbage.
Interesting thing about Hedorah too is the first real kaiju where you see the metamorphosis process.
Yeah.
Transforming.
I don't think we've seen that since like Mothra, right?
Well,
Yeah.
we had Mothra and Orga later on, obviously Biollante, and Destroya, and,
Space Godzilla, kind of.
well,
well,
that's just a different flight form and everything.
Yeah.
True.
He doesn't really go through he becomes almost a different creature.
Yeah, that's
Right.
good point. Yeah, like this
And,
one.
and he's the only one who can transform back and forth as he wishes.
Yeah, that's true.
Now this.
This.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a scene in Prophecies of Nostradamus where a similar situation. A guy and his girlfriend are in a nightclub watching a performance, and all of a sudden the guy starts hallucinating. Except instead of seeing fish heads,
Yeah.
he thinks all the people on stage are shrinking.
Oh, okay.
Strange. Okay.
And that's also one of those things where you can kind of tell you can feel Bono's presence in that film. because
Okay.
It reminds you of this.
Yeah. This is Bono, right?
Yeah.
what has my life become?
No, it's funny that we were just talking about like the child actor and how this movie was trying to appeal towards kids, even though this is clearly an adult situation. Yeah. You got this like attractive woman in a very skin tight outfit. You got this nightclub. You got drinking. You got like hallucinogenic.
I think it's kind of trying to reach like an adolescent teen audience too, with the whole hippie movement, like subplot and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder, even though the film is actually pretty has a really
condemning
actually of that very thing.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder. Like, I was looking at the dates, and I noticed that Banno would have been like 30 years old because he was born in 41. Yeah, so he was quite young. So do you think he was doing this to appeal towards, specifically appeal towards the young generation, or do you think he was still a part of that younger generation and was doing something that he was also involved in?
I think he was actually condemning the modern generation of youngsters, especially. And I'll go into more detail as we get further on in the movie, especially in the third act.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I know what you're hinting at.
Yeah, another thing also to consider is that as we were,
I don't think I remember this from the American version.
Oh. It's the opening to Lost Skeleton of Hedorah. All the weird skeletons. Yeah.
That is how stupid you are.
Yeah. I sleep now.
Also, I'm noticing with the way Hedorah moves, it doesn't look like they were using the slow motion technique.
No. It's very.
In fact, it's actually. I just now that I think about it. Oh, there we got our poster shots.
Yeah.
I just noticed that I just realized that a lot of the '70s Godzilla movies kind of forego the move really fast and then put it in slow motion technique.
Because high speed cameras they add expense to the production. If you play at regular speed like with Ultraman, you cut the price down.
Right. They never did that for Ultraman, at least like during this era.
Considering how low the budgets were at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it's best not to keep the budget low as opposed to running it out.
Yeah.
God damn it. But actually, you kind of did remind me a little bit with going back a little bit to the famous dancing scene from Hedorah. Mm-hmm. Another thing we also got to remember is, as like some people have mentioned, that when it comes to Japanese kids, they're a lot more okay with violence than a lot of like how we are here in America. Mm-hmm. So perhaps maybe when this movie came out, even though this was trying to gear more towards children, it may like those scenes may not have bothered them. It may I want to say it wouldn't pass over them, but I don't think they probably didn't care.
Well, here's something else to consider: is that by the 1970s, movies in Japan, the movie industry in Japan was really going down fast. It was crashing, and primarily, if people want to see entertainment, especially monsters, it was on television. Yeah. So the way the Toho executives thought in the 70s of all the violence and the blood and such was, okay, what can we, if we're going to try to lure them into the theater but still keep it oriented this way, you know, we got to give them something that they're not going to find on TV. And so what do? You make it more graphic and such. And you saw that in You saw that in other 70s films from the same era as well.
Yeah, this would explain a lot of Godzilla films in the 70s, how they got really gory afterwards.
Yep. We passed over it, but Hedorah actually reminds me in a lot of ways of Shin Godzilla. You know, not just with not just with the evolving monster, but also with the sort of unflattering look at authority figures that Shin Godzilla has. Like earlier, we saw like the cop answer the phone, like, "What? Knock it off! Hedorah is a sea monster. He can't come on land."
Okay,
it's kind of like a Shin Godzilla.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing. Like it's okay. Nothing to see here. He's not going to come on land.
Yeah.
Oh.
What?
Yeah. Even though that was actually a direct reference to the Fukushima disaster.
Exactly.
It's kind of similar.
Which is all over that film.
Yeah, but you also see that later on in Hedorah. Like, there's also a part later on where somebody says, "Oh, Hedorah came out at night. He must be a night monster." The very next scene, he's in the broad daylight.
Right.
And plus, also the military in this film is portrayed as completely incompetent.
But then again, wouldn't that be the case for a lot of the 70s movies, considering that like the use of military models and action sequences were kind of downplayed?
I don't know, man, because they are portrayed as completely stupid.
Okay.
Look at what you're saying.
In the other 70s films, they're portrayed as, you know, they're trying, they just can't beat the monsters.
Okay. Here, you're right. Yeah.
Here they're like, "Oh, we were electrocute him. Oh, wait, we short circuited. Fix it. Oh, we didn't do it correctly."
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. For a moment, actually thinking back, I always thought that was just a way to like pad out the film.
Yeah. Yeah, but this film definitely does have a really unflattering look at, higher authority figures, which is very much what I saw in Shin Godzilla as well.
Okay, very interesting. Now, are these people or are these mannequins?
Those are people.
Oh shit! Okay.
Shit everywhere.
I guess like having it in HD kind of makes it kind of ruins the illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the unfortunate side effects of the HD transfers.
Yeah.
So, I always wondered, how do they do that effect? Do they just use a microscope and just use 2 slides and squish some ink together?
That kind of looks more like film burning. Film burns, you sometimes see when the reel goes out.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe it's a mixture of that and maybe some paint being splashed onto it.
Yeah.
And then they reverse the shot.
I think Banno said that he got it from a club somewhere in Tokyo, and then had it projected on big screens, but have to double check that. Yeah, be sure.
Okay, yeah.
So, Mr. Tanaka, how's this going so far? He's just looking at him like,
Yep, he was there for the filming of the nightclub season. Just
kind of reminds me of the Blob here a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this was inspired by the 50s Blob.
Yeah, the way that the sludge moves.
Yeah.
And then moves on its own by.
They reversed the footage there, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no. It looks like carpet. They're pulling the carpet. You see the slide still going down.
Yeah. Never mind.
Now here's something I can't understand. Why would they put a cat there?
Yeah.
Would they ever do
it? It's gonna make it big in show business. I just have to do this one embarrassing scene, but then after this, it's gonna be
Garfield had to start somewhere.
Mom, I got a role in a movie. What, son? Well,
you don't want to know.
Yeah, I'm covered in shit, but.
That's a decent composite shot.
Yeah.
Color's a little off, but it's okay.
Yeah. Again, HD.
Yeah, HD ruins it all.
Yeah.
One thing, I'd have the Blu-ray of the '89 Batman.
Yeah.
And when he punches Joker off of the church, you can clearly see the mat pop up when he lands. I can't unsee that now.
Or when he flies into the air, or when he falls down to the string holding
Yeah.
See, that looks. It's all right.
Yeah.
If you squint, it's okay. Now, he does this a lot in this movie.
I know.
It's he's got allergies or something. He wipes his nose.
Yeah. Maybe that's kind of I'm not sure. Maybe either that's a reference to American, not some Japanese boxers or wrestlers or something like blood in the nose. Yeah.
Which was Patrick informed was based on a Japanese comedian.
Yeah. Oh well, in Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, there's a point where he scratches his nose, which is an homage to actor singer Yuzo Kayama.
Oh, okay.
As for wiping his mouth, I'm not sure what that's reference.
Maybe that's for a boxer wiping out the blood, and it's come on.
Nakajima does a lot. He makes a lot of strange choices too with his movements in this movie. I noticed he's a lot more. He's sort of given up on tucking your arms.
Right. He did.
He's sort of
flailing them around. Yeah. In fact, I've noticed he would either he was ready to pounce on you like a bear. Or actually no, that was more of the Millennium Suit actor.
Yeah.
But he kind of has his arm elbows out.
Right, he has elbows out and he's more upright.
Yeah, there are still some shots where he's doing the regular Godzilla hold his elbows down. But for the most part, he's.
I think that's probably just him evolving over time.
Right, he's just more used to doing that. Maybe it's really hot, so it's difficult to tuck his arms in. Yeah. His armpits are sweating all over.
I was thinking maybe Nakajima was just experimenting with what he could do with Godzilla, especially since Toho was going to this new direction.
And the suits became lighter over time too and thinner.
Yeah.
So he could do a lot more movement.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of the quality of the Godzilla of the Destroy All Monsters suit here in comparison to its final appearance a year later?
This is the third film it was in, right? So
there was Destroy All Monsters,
4 total.
Revenge, and Hedorah.
And then Gigan.
Right.
Yeah, its eyes got a lot wider, I noticed, with this film. Because you look back at the first two, he looked pretty standard in terms of Godzilla looks, but then as soon as you get the Hedorah, his eyes look a lot more
bug-eyed.
Bug-eyed, And then when we get to Gigan, he looks really pissed in that one. Mm-hmm. So I feel that I don't know if that was just because of the suit aging kind of
modified it.
Yeah, they might have modified it.
I thought with Gigan, because they do a lot of stuff to the suit to the head, they put the dry ice on it and whatever.
Right,
so maybe that had an effect
on his brow or something that naturally sort of lowered it.
Oh, there's that really weird, awkward
How
shot.
does that work?
Like, did he jump or did he kick?
The impression I get is that he must miss him or something, and he just jumps. But it looks like he kicks him, and he goes the complete opposite.
Right.
Maybe he kicked him at a sensitive part, and Hedorah was like, "Nope, gotta get out of here."
And now here he's trying to recreate it.
Yeah.
He's stuck in the past. He's trying to relive the glory days.
Come back!
I'm jumping off things into water.
Come back, sea monster! I'll shoot in the Mizuko suit. Please come back.
Yeah, I'm really noticing how high def this is. Now we're watching the Blu-ray, and when I was a kid, I don't know if it was just my TV. Maybe it was my TV was the problem, but I could only see when he does his breath. Everything else was pitch black.
That was also the case with me when I saw the Sony DVD of Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster for the first time.
Yeah.
Where it's like during the moment where you see the Ebra crab like closing in on the boats, and you hear like everything's much more colorful and the water just pops out more.
Yeah. Now this is also interesting too. The involvement of cartoons.
Yeah.
Technically, this is like the first Godzilla anime.
Yeah, I guess.
It's Japanese animation.
Yeah.
Albeit very stylized Japanese animation.
It looks like
But then again, all anime itself was made from
but even then, like, there's
kind of like Godzilla meets Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah, like true. Yeah.
Pollution, Lucian. What's
I'm
your
just a kaiju.
solution?
Yes, I'm only a kaiju.
Yeah, like true. Yeah, I mean that's true. But even then, with shows at the time, like say Astro Boy, Tetsujin 28, there's a bit of a uniformed look to them. Whereas generally, but this one has like more like a paint, like almost like a painting sort of look.
Yeah, kind of like a Sesame Street sort of thing, very cheap
like watercolor.
Yeah, watercolor like animation.
Yeah. I think that makes it stand out a lot more though.
I gotta wonder, like, what animation production did they go to for?
He does the same thing as Godzilla.
Yeah.
And
Symbolism.
He says that. He says, "I'm copying Godzilla. He does this.
Yeah.
He's my hero." But I was going to say, I wonder what animation company they went to get that animation. Was it an actual animation company, or did they have like some small group of like 5 people that they had worked like 36 hours straight just to do the whole thing?
Yeah.
Ivana pulled a Walt Disney and like paid them horrible wages.
Yeah. Apparently that's kind of what it's like in the modern day Japanese animation industry. Actually, it's been like that from what I understand, the Japanese animation industry hasn't really evolved since the 1960s, when it began.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where it's like you get paid like 12 cents for every drawing that you do. And so it's all basically like minimum wage for a day's work of animation, and that's why like all these animators are like very expendable. But at the same time, there's a lot of job openings for animators.
Yeah.
The only problem is it's like the McDonald's. There's a lot of job openings, but
it's not. Is it even worth it?
Yeah, but. That's the state of Japan, you know. I mean, we've seen what happens with Dragon Ball Super, where it got criticized because, like, behind the scenes, you were just getting a bunch of amateurs, like, coming in and out,
and the animation really varied in Super. Yeah. I mean, gradually.
Well, also, look at what happened to, like, Sailor Moon Crystal. I don't think you guys are fans of Sailor Moon, but
I know. I've seen Crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the animation in that one, like definitely varied, especially also a little bit in the art direction too. Because when it first started out, it had more of that manga look. Like it was directly ripped from it.
Right.
But then, as I noticed, like later on, they went for the more traditional Sailor Moon look from the '90s.
Right. Let's see.
We missed the immortal line. What a beautiful house!
Damn it! We gotta do the whole thing all over again. This has to be done in one take. Unfortunately, like, luckily this.
You reach for your phone.
No, I was like, do something, phone. Rewind it.
Rewind time.
Rewind time.
Now, as Bray mentioned earlier, that Godzilla pulls out Hedorah's eyes during the movie. And a lot of people have wondered, why did he do that? And they actually kind of, sort of hint at it. Credit to August Bergoni for coming up with this theory, but in this sequence, I noticed those white orbs flashing.
Oh, okay.
And the Doctor explains that those are Hedrium spores, and those spores are what give Hedorah his power. And so that's why Godzilla pulled them out to fry them, because that stops Hedorah from being able to keep growing and growing and growing.
I need to watch every movie with Patrick.
Yeah.
I recall when he was like sucking on the pipes from the factory pipes. You can see like a giant bulbs growing.
Oh,
I thought, it was like very circular. I thought that he was just growing in general, but I didn't know that he could potentially be growing those orbs.
If he's got spores that give him his power, because people have also wondered, maybe those are his eggs. But
so that's what I thought for the longest time.
But here's the thing, though: we saw earlier in the film
symbolism. Sorry,
we saw earlier in the film that Hedorah survives by combining, by coming together, and each piece that gets torn apart goes into our Hedorah. So why does he need eggs?
Yeah,
very true.
Very
true. Yeah, maybe he's like Shin Godzilla. At the very end of the movie, he decides to find a new means of evolution.
And we can then confirm that his tail is indeed his dick.
Wait, so he shoots a laser? Never mind.
Technically, he technically has a head.
Two of them.
Quit while you're ahead.
A head that sprouts his children, his seed.
Men.
That's how it worked. See, Joe, now you didn't have to go to health class. Now this is kind of weird too. The science lesson that he gives.
Andromeda, I don't know the last two. No, I think it's Uchu. I think one of those kanji might be space. Ryo Ken something no
Now this is something that always confused me about Hedorah, even to this very day. Now, the general idea about Hedorah is that he is a creature, that he's like a life form that comes from outer space, and then crashes into our polluted waters, and then that creates Hedorah. The problem is that they don't really explain it that well.
They never clarify it.
Yeah, so then you could also argue that it was a tadpole that was mutated by the pollution that may have some radiation into it, and that became Hedorah.
Yeah, it's presented as a theory in the film. It's never actually confirmed.
Yeah.
Although if you listen,
G theory.
Yeah.
But if you watch the interviews with Banno, you can see that that's clearly what he clearly intended it to be. In context of the film, you're right, Andrew. It's just kind of a vague suggestion that might be what
because we never actually see like Hedorah just landing on Earth. He just pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Now, what do you guys think of Hedorah's design overall?
I really like it. Given the technical limitations at the time, I feel like they did the best they could possibly do. With portraying this like amorphous blob-like entity.
Yeah, I always like those weird I want to say
rags?
These little rags like he has all over his body. It kind of gives him like a more distinct look from like other kaijus, and even to this very day, they still haven't been able to get that design down.
Yeah. Funny enough, when they recreated Hedorah for the PS3, PS4 Godzilla game, I was surprised that instead of trying to update the design and make it look more like wet and slimy, they continued to make him look like give him that like rubber-suited raggedy look.
Yeah. I mean, of course, Hedorah's gone through his own redesigns over the years. One would be in Final Wars, where they give him more.
They slim him down a lot.
Yeah, a lot more slicker look and
reddish, blackish look instead of like this bluish, grayish.
Yeah, a little bit of yellow in him too.
Smaller than height-wise. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Now, here's a fun little thing for you guys. Do you guys have any idea what Hedorah's eyes are modeled after?
Yep.
Owls.
Want to guess?
The female reproductive.
You got it.
System.
They're modeled after vaginas.
I went for the more mature answer.
Technically, this is a mature subject.
Yeah, well, I suppose.
Well,
it's just
depending.
So, let's see, Patrick, being the great knower of all things.
knower of
the anatomy, please tell us how.
Do you happen to know why Yoshimitsu Banno or whoever designed this creature, why they chose the vagina as the basis for Hedorah's eyes?
Well, Banno actually clarified that in an interview in a Japanese magazine.
Okay. I can't believe I'm actually surprised he actually knows this.
He he actually told the art direction to model them after that, and his reaction was to the interviewer, "Well, come on, vaginas are scary."
Yeah.
They are quite scary.
I resemble that remark. Now, is this stock footage or?
No, I think
This
that's
is
new.
actual. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
new.
Doesn't look like it.
All right.
Oh, also,
Uh-huh.
early on, there was the scene where Hedorah flies over those girls and they pass out. That's actually a direct reference to something that happened just a year before this movie came out.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, there was a, I think it was either Tokyo or Kawasaki, but some schoolgirls were exercising outside, and it was so heavily polluted. There was so much smog they actually fainted in the exercise yard.
Oh, okay.
And so when Banno wrote that story, he made a point of referencing that in the film.
Uh-huh.
So it was a direct reference to a recent event.
I see. Oh, that's a really cool shot.
Yeah.
It's a shame that the humans disappeared immediately.
Yeah.
Do you mind? I'm trying to eat these cars here. I don't interrupt you when you're eating. Oh wait, I am because I'm trying to kill you. Never mind.
Okay.
Wow, that fire sounds exactly like Godzilla.
I also find it very interesting. I wonder if this was also to further push the idea that his eyes are modeled after a vagina, that like the eye beam comes out where the clitoris would be.
I wouldn't know about that. That's a question.
You think? Look at it. If you read, it doesn't. The eye doesn't shoot it. It's above the eye that it shoots out.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that.
Okay, so we've covered Shin Godzilla's tail as a dick and Hedorah's eyes are vaginas.
There's the poetry and the rhyme.
We've covered the anatomy.
Gross.
Ew.
I wonder if Joe. I wonder if Joe Vizina is still watching this video by now.
Yeah. What else does he have to?
Oh God!
Tuck and roll.
That's how I fall into
That's how you
bed.
fell into
Yeah.
Like after we finished filming the second, once we finished filming the second video, I just collapsed. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
There's a pretty
This is so
disturbing
creepy. Oh,
scene.
yeah.
This is creepy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really creepy.
Creepy.
And very scarring for a child of that age.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine you just stumbling upon that as a
dead
kid.
body, yeah.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of dead
That would
bodies.
do stuff to you, yeah.
Spooky, scary skeletons send shivers down your spine.
Oh, this was also creepy, especially like in like a post 9/11 world.
I know, I was about to make a reference.
Yeah. It's, that's
wait,
just horrible.
Oh, I just noticed when Hedorah was going through. Hedorah literally like
He went through.
he was invisible. He went through it. Okay, now here's something I'm wondering: is that because like that's why the buildings fell?
Yeah.
Or?
Oh yeah.
He went through it
Like an airplane.
Oh.
The anti-Hedorah oxygen mask is also a reference to what was happening in Japan at the time, because the pollution was such a huge issue that there were actually oxygen masks stationed on the street so people could, refresh their lungs, because pollution in Japan in many cities was that bad at the time.
This is probably the only time where the animation actually acts as a proper transition.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It'd be cool if they did that throughout the movie.
Yeah.
It would just lead into the live action parts. Of course, here you have your Dark Knight Returns sort of things with the news subplot.
Yeah.
Now, one problem I do have with Hedorah, I don't know if you guys agree with this, is that our three leads are kind of generic.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
super.
yeah.
So they're not especially interesting.
In fact, we never see them have like a decent character moment before the trouble begins. Usually with Godzilla movies, we would have like one or two scenes dedicated to showing them in their regular everyday lives, so we can get a bit of their personality, who they are.
Yeah.
Like what brings to mind is like something small, like in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, where you see the brother and sister. One's the reporter, the other's, I believe,
Detective.
Yes. And we just see them in their domestic life, just like any other sibling. They argue and fight a lot, like children.
Yeah.
It's a nice little scene, like a nice little bit of character building, and we get none of that, like nothing like that for this film. It's just like mother, father, scientist, child.
And they pretty much disappear by the time the third act is underway.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and the child. He likes Godzilla.
Yeah.
Which we kind of already got the last
Yeah,
film.
so
It's like if you put us in one of these movies.
Yeah, it's at least I'll give credit to the Gamera movies where they try to give each child a different backstory. Where like this child, he's a bit of a sociopath and a loner. With Kenny, with Gamera versus Ichi. Gamera versus Virus. They're Boy Scouts and they like to be all mischievous.
Oh, that's what's his name? Jim and Masao.
Masao, yes.
Masao likes to likes to tinker with their submarines, so people
change the controls.
Can we just
they're a bit tech savvy.
Can we just call them Kenny's 3 and 4? Is that too hard to ask for?
And then Kenny's 5 and 6. They are obsessed with astronomy. Traffic accidents and astronomy.
Yeah.
So who is this kid? He likes Godzilla.
It's off-brand Kenny, like Benny or something.
Benny.
No. Bimmy.
Oh yeah.
Now here's an example of why I think this film is very much not pro counterculture, but kind of anti counterculture.
Okay.
Is that these kids are arranging for a big party on top of Mount Fuji, and they think they say flat out, we're probably all going to die pretty soon.
So what's the point?
So what's the point? It's basically just a big excuse to have some fun before
shit goes down.
Yeah, and you saw something like that. There's also a scene in Prophecy of Nostradamus, which is kind of similar. The world is coming to an end, so a group of teenagers decide just to commit mass suicide. So it's kind of similar to this. And keeping in mind, this was 2 years after Woodstock became a really big thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because Woodstock, the first Woodstock festival was in 1969, and Woodstock was all about young people using music and celebrations as a movement for peace. And here's a film which, on one level, almost seems to be celebrating it.
Yeah.
But the other, but when you really examine it, it actually presents counterculture as really stupid and naive and self-destructive.
Right. It almost reminds me of what Cartman said in South Park. It's like they act like they want to save the world, but all they want to do is just get high.
Yeah. David Cow pointed this out in his analysis of the film, is that the guy and his girlfriend, they were almost killed when Hedorah was sucking up their car because Hedorah is coming after the carbon dioxide.
Yeah. So
what do? They drive their cars up Mount Fuji, leaving all that carbon dioxide, a nice trail for Hedorah to follow up there. It's almost like they wanted Hedorah to follow them.
Yeah. And here comes the Frank Miller-esque propaganda, I guess, for
why isn't there a baby? Who that poor baby?
Because symbolism.
Look at the guy doing his Al Jolson impression. Godzilla.
Oh, now what is this? Is that a puppet on a string, or
that's an actual tadpole?
I think it's an actual.
Because I noticed I got the googly white eyes, but did they do something to that poor tadpole, or is that how tadpoles generally look like?
I think it's a living creature. I think it's a living animal.
Yeah.
Of some kind.
I don't know what they did with the face, or is that just natural?
Yeah.
I'm not a biologist.
Now, what I'm wondering with those TV faces of all the different shit going on at the same time, I do wonder. I do wonder if Frank Miller was inspired by something like this.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't. No, but not. Yeah.
No. This guy. No.
There's the skull. There's the skulls.
Creepy, spooky skeletons.
Yeah. Just stick a bunch of weird shit on the camera.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. I'm thinking that with Frank Miller, he just had a huge hate boner for the media.
And fake news. Well, I'm just saying maybe imagery wise, maybe something like this may have inspired him to go with that approach of showing his hatred for the media.
I don't know.
Hey, you never know.
Frank Miller's Godzilla.
Well, I don't know if that's a good thing or
so crazy.
Yeah. Well, depends. Are we talking about early Frank Miller, or are we talking about
no. We're talking about Holy Terror Frank Miller.
Oh.
Godzilla's fighting ISIS.
Yeah, he's fighting a giant Nazi terrorist.
Yeah.
And then
a Nazi terrorist.
Yeah, and then he's gonna have monologues, and then there's gonna have the main female protagonist who follows Godzilla, and she dresses like a hooker. She probably is a hooker.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Godzilla's gonna fight the monster in the rain.
And that
he's gonna be narrating.
Kind of reminds me of the opening.
Gotta keep going.
Night of the Living Dead here, where it's
don't stop.
Black and white.
Don't stop.
The road.
Yeah.
And that film will bomb in theaters on the first day.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Get you, Barbara. Stop it.
But yet the guy who organized this whole thing knows from experience that Hedorah is attracted to carbon fumes from cars, and yet he invites everybody to drive their cars up the volcano.
Yeah.
So either he wants to die,
Or
he's just
painfully
stupid. Or he's just stupid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say stupid.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, considering that the kids then tried to kill Hedorah by throwing torches at him.
Right.
Yeah.
Which does.
Yeah. Yeah, which, by the way, why bring a little kid to this?
That's why I'm wondering. Too,
Really irresponsible, like, parents
Yeah.
to let him go there.
Yeah.
Also, what is the boy's relation? What are the boy and the girl's relationship to the family?
Oh, the guy is his uncle.
Oh,
And
so
the girl's the uncle's boyfriend. Girlfriend.
okay, so this guy is
Yeah.
the child's cousin.
Uncle.
Uncle. Okay.
Yeah.
So is he
and
the father's? Is he the brother to the father?
Yes.
Oh, he's very young.
Yeah. Yeah, which is wasn't that kind of rare like back then, like during the 1960s, to have like a sibling be that old in comparison?
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really see that much of an age difference within Japanese society, at least in modern day today.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of like comparing societies between Japan, within Japan, I've always found the 70s to be quite fascinating, where they seem to portray men as much more like masculine, much more like machismo, more badass. Like, especially when it this is like the decade where like motorcycles were a big thing, and like long hair, nice perms, what do you call sideburns. I don't know. Men, at least within media, seem to look a lot more masculine than what you would see in today's Japanese media. I'm not sure if you guys notice the same thing or not.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's this part.
Yeah, this is weird.
You young kids.
This is another Frank Miller moment where it's just faces.
Yeah. They're all trying to play the old guy from GMK. Just
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
do 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 do.
Well, this actually kind of goes back to my earlier point about this film's kind of unflattering look at modern generations. Is that those older people, they're like Japan's past generation, and they're ghostly worn out. They're watching the new generation destroy themselves. And all they can do is just stand by and just sadly watch it happen.
Yeah. Kind of a little bit that was in GMK with Kaneko because he wasn't exactly nice when it came to the younger demographic.
54 type of thing here with all the perspective.
Yeah.
It's always interesting where you got like both the young. I think this is kind of like a recurring theme when it comes to Japanese, the older generation versus newer generation, where I think there's a decent amount of criticism for seen within our limited experience with Japanese cinema media, that there's seems to be a good amount of criticism aimed at both generations, where one generation, the younger generation, who lacks the respect and reverence for what came before, and then you got the older generation who prefers to cling on to the past far too much and expects the younger generation to follow. Although, would you think that these are two issues that are also prevalent in American society?
It depends on on where exactly we could point this at. Like, for example, many franchises that go through different installments, there's going to be a generational gap with certain fans, because they'll prefer this certain era but nothing else, or this only one installment and everything else is like garbage, but this one's good. With the Godzilla films, as we know with the fan base, they have that problem too, where Godzilla fans may have their different preferences. Like, one just prefers everything Showa, one that prefers everything Heisei, one that prefers everything Millennium. So I think that may be a factor with a lot of American media in general as well.
I'm actually surprised we're already at the climax.
This film went by really quickly.
Yeah, although I wonder if that's mostly because of the brisk pacing of the movie, or just us talking about the movie.
It's a little under an hour and a half, like an hour and 20 minutes, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I really miss the days where movies could be this short.
It didn't have to be 2.5 hours.
Right. Well, it's funny enough, this. I know this is going to be a really random movie, but I decided to rewatch An American Tail: Fievel Goes West because
it's the same movie.
Yeah, essentially.
Yes.
Somewhere out
there.
I was shocked at how short the movie was from what I remember. It's only an hour and 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
And so it's like the movie runs at a ridiculous pace. It's like a fucking roller coaster.
Yeah.
Shit is always happening. There's never room to breathe.
Yeah.
And when you think that you're at the second act, like the, what do you call it, the calm before the storm?
Yeah.
No, the storm is already here.
Yeah. It's a pretty fun movie, though.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Film. Not the original, but certainly, like, it's definitely passable for a sequel.
Right. I was just shocked at how short it was.
Yeah.
You got Jimmy Stewart giving his final film performance.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I didn't teach him that.
You're gonna live, Clarence. You're gonna live.
I want you to bark, tiger.
Sounds vaguely sexual.
No, with Dom DeLuise, nothing is sexual.
Yeah,
my friend. That's most of it. Most of his characters are just stuttering and stammering.
They do this sort of thing in Megalon too, where it's just them like
shimmying him around.
To the right now, y'all.
One step this time. One step this time. Crisscross.
2 ups, 2 ups.
Cha-cha real slow. Yeah. I'm gonna play this over.
Yeah.
Everybody clap your hands. Clap, 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 clap.
Ooh.
Oh, you mentioned that you mentioned that Hedorah is played by Kenpachiro Satsuma.
Oh,
Yeah!
Oh,
we got one Godzilla versus another.
Yeah, this is the closest we're gonna get to Godzilla versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, there was Gigan too, because he was also.
Oh, that too. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Forgot about that, yep.
Yeah, this is where he got his start, I think. Or unless he was
This got
so
yeah.
bad.
Right, his first suit, like.
And how terrible that situation was for him.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, I noticed like the suit really towers over him.
Yeah, he barely can move in that thing, and
if you figure like how tall Nakajima is and his head is in the neck,
Right,
and how much taller Hedorah is than the entire suit, it's got to be unbearable.
Yeah, like
awesome.
yeah.
I remember seeing pictures, and it's like when he was like
Oh
squatting.
yeah, he was like squatting and
then he's got this like gigantic harness like on top of him. For
From what I've heard, like during production of this, he said that during when you were shooting, he actually got kind of sick with this. I read
it's Mysterians all over again.
Yeah, it was like some kind of like part like in the mold that they used for it, and it gave him kind of a bad skin condition. Patrick, I'm not sure how much you can confirm on that.
I've never heard of that story before.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's not true.
Maybe not.
Fake news.
Fake news. I don't know.
I cannot confirm or deny.
It's just an alternative fact.
Time to go to the Human Encyclopedia. We're going for that answer.
Yep. August Ragone would probably know.
And then he's probably going to lambast you for being wrong about everything.
Much like most of my life. Okay, now here's something.
For most of your life, August Ragone has been like
No.
like a stern father leaning over.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what he is to the majority of the Godzilla family.
Yeah.
It's like we're always quick to assume something because we just don't know a lot of what's going on.
Yeah.
And he would be like, no, that's... oh, you stupid fuck.
Yeah. But then again, a lot of times, like, we don't really... most of the information that we've gotten until people like him came along is very vague, and it's not really
very
confirmed.
secondhand.
Yeah, very secondhand, so we have to really just go by what we know until, like, they really can tell us what exactly is the truth.
Everybody's dead.
Yeah.
So much for counterculture.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, I was about to say, like...
And the hippie movement.
Yeah.
We're close.
By the way, that reminds me, like, as you were mentioning that they were trying to do a party where they just danced until they died, why would they then attack Hedorah, like, into defense?
Bring it on, I guess.
Or maybe it's just like about one final act of rebellious defiance.
Like basically kamikazing themselves in a sense.
I guess so.
Huh. I'm gonna eat you, kid.
As weird of an idea it is to base the eyes off the female genitalia.
Now I can't understand that.
It looks pretty. It works at being creepy.
It is really creepy. Yeah, the red helps.
Oh yeah. And like the green pupil, like green is such like a disgusting color. And also like green and red are two colors that complement each other. Yeah. And in the shadow, just seeing a black pupil also works.
Yeah.
Yeah, although with the black and green, that they have to, there is a very, it's kind of specific in how they work together. For example, Kamen Rider Amazon, when they did the costume, that where it was mostly green but red stripes. And then when Amazons came back, they did that with one of the characters.
And then reversed it
with Alpha
and Omega.
Yeah, well, no, Omega was regular, like he looked much like regular Amazon.
Okay. Also, they eventually changed the Amazon costume like late into the series, where instead of having a yellow chest plate, it's red.
Yeah, that's true. But if you do it like any other way, it can also look kind of messy in comparison. So with green and red, it's very hard to kind of put them together and make it feel more balanced out. This works a little bit more because there's a little bit of a black to it, so that's why Hedorah doesn't like have that problem when they added like green and red to him.
Also, whenever I see figures of this final version of Hedorah, there are many colors that you don't really get to see in the movie itself due to the lighting.
Yeah.
You see a lot of stripes, like red, yellow, green stripes all over the suit.
I like that. It gives it like a little extra flair to it. It makes it more vibrant than you really think.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been a nightmare.
Yeah.
Can we stop? Can we stop, fellas?
No!
Get me out of here!
Especially with like that giant like
Pebble in my suit. Pebble in my suit.
Pebble in my suit. No, they're both. It's a literal eye for an eye.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I see what you did there.
Oh.
He's got a pulsating
I see
brain.
what you did there.
Well, June, you gotta find the clitoris.
God.
Now, another reason why this film is not one of my favorites is I think this third act is kind of
Drawn out.
kind of drawn out.
Oh, yeah.
It's not very well edited.
That's why it feels like we just got here, because most of half the movie is this
You kind of it seems like it's especially in a lot of these movies, there'll be a fight going on, but you'll cut to human stuff.
Yeah.
And this, it's like you see the entire fight and how slow it.
Yeah. What do you guys think of like the added sound effects of making Godzilla's quote unquote cough?
That's actually the music, I think.
No, that isn't. Like when I can hear like with Godzilla, you could hear.
I think it's something Manabe created for the score. If I remember.
Really?
I think so.
I know that one like growl. He goes.
Like for instance, also like in another example, Gamma vs. Baragon, when Baragon pops out, you hear that clicking sound. That's not him chirping. That's the score.
Really?
Yeah. If you listen to the score, that sound affects the music.
How is that? I'm not going to ask.
It's funny.
Like this part, I think could have been this whole part here where he drops him into the pit.
Yeah. That's why.
I think they could just cut that out entirely because it doesn't really add anything.
Especially when as soon as he gets out, he's kind of dry already.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
They're still there.
They're still there.
Can we go home yet?
I think they could have cut from them just fighting on the mountain down to introducing the electrodes on the ground, and then them tumbling down the hillside, and you would have saved like maybe 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Boom.
Ouch!
I gotta go through this again and again. Damn it!
I think Nakajima could have been in that suit the whole time.
Yeah, probably was.
It doesn't look like it's caving in. No.
Speaking of which, there's the Nakai suit again.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of color there.
Yeah. It's weird how he's got cracks in at the top of his head specifically for his brain to pop out like there.
Yeah.
Feel free to add in your own sound effects, folks. Angry video game nerd style.
Yeah, James Roll style jokes.
That's great.
Oh, by the way, if you'll notice like the eye when he does it, it's okay. He doesn't do it there. Yeah, it's like
much
better. Yeah.
Ooh.
And he kind of chuckles at him and laughs.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, look.
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll give him credit for that.
That's pretty funny.
Also, it's interesting how rare Godzilla uses his atomic breath, and here he's just like wasting it.
Yeah. Get me out of here.
Could you imagine being in the suit for that? Just being covered in.
Maybe this is why he decided the next movie would be his last one.
Yeah, maybe.
And this is also like a kind of unnecessary. Like what does the dropping the oxygen bomb really add anything to the narrative of the fight? Like nothing at all.
It just distracts him from it.
Oh
And then it just blows it up.
Yeah. And then we never actually see Godzilla get out of the pit, so
Oh.
you just kind of like, what's the point of it? Although it's funny you mentioned that about what was it like for Nakajima to be in there. Like somebody actually asked Banno, what were your thoughts when you told Nakajima he was going to have to be crawl into a pit and have all this stuff slammed over him? He's like, and his response was, "You can't think about that when you're making a movie, otherwise they won't actually do it."
Don't tell them they have to do it until they have no choice. But
And don't think about it. Don't have any sympathy.
Yeah.
They're not people.
I can imagine what that was like. Okay, we need you to go into this hole. Okay, now what do we need to do? Okay, boys, put it on. I'm like, what are you doing? No.
Yeah, it's something I should probably also mention that is that with most Godzilla films, usually the director did not come on set, the special effects set. Usually he would like give storyboards and give advice to the special effects director. But with this film, Banno was there with Nakano filming the entire thing.
Okay.
I always thought this was interesting, but kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
Drawn out like the rest of the movie.
Yeah. How they have to wait for him to just get there.
Composite shot isn't that great either. You can see a little bit of the blue lighting on the sides of the soldiers.
Thankfully, it's is this a day for night shot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Like those clouds are too white.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening then. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess they're trying to invoke that this is an all-out war between the two of them.
Yeah.
It's also funny how like this movie doesn't really give Godzilla any strong motivation to be involved in this movie.
He's just the superhero.
Kind of like
Yep.
King Kong versus Godzilla sort of thing, where they're rolling down the hill together.
Rolling around at the speed of sound. Got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow. Ow! Rolling.
Keep those kaiju rolling.
Kaiju high. Rawhide.
Right.
Now, as you can see here in this shot, it was a clear demonstration of being a homage to the original '54 classic, where he takes down those high towers.
Clearly, inspiration. Clearly.
Now, that was my piece of trivia.
Yeah, the world's longest
bullshit
yo-yo.
that I had to be bullshitting on my ass.
Yeah, here's more of the military just being.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's a really interesting perspective
yeah.
shot.
Is that a fisheye lens?
It looked like one.
It looked really wide.
Back up. Back up. Come on. You idiots, back up.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Don't worry, we'll buff out those scratches.
He's very important with his hands on his waistband.
Yes.
Oh, that is another fisheye
yeah.
lens.
Oh. So I guess that's Hedorah's perspective then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be.
He sees in fisheye vision.
Yeah. Because he has fish eyes.
See, now how do we get from like the mud pit to the rolling on the floor to now just standing in front of an open field?
Ultraman blows.
Yeah.
It's gone horribly wrong.
Oh god, this is a bad decision.
Why did I even attempt that?
How does Ben Ferreira do it?
Oh, just my luck.
But on the topic of the fisheye lens, I think that's a better way how to implement a fisheye lens in film, because I like when you give like a monster a certain vision to them, like the Predator where you can only see infrared, and in Hedorah's case where it's kind of like fisheye, where it's like his vision's almost like the vision's almost spherical. Unlike say where a lot of other films when they try to give like maybe make a fisheye lens the entire time.
Yeah,
and
I like it
measure
when they
it.
use like wide angles and fisheyes for like if the camera's supposed to be inside of an object or something.
Yeah.
Because it has that unique feel to it.
Yeah, I pointed this out the other night, but I noticed that with the Hedorah suit, it looks very. It looks like they kind of put a lot of glitter on him.
I think that's just because of like the wetness and how it reflects the light.
Yeah,
possibly.
I'm thinking that too.
It just shimmers.
Yeah, so it's a very shiny looking suit.
Yeah,
I guess like that. So it's that.
Man, the video quality went down real bad for some reason.
Yeah.
Why is it so blurry? That's some
Did
interesting.
Hedorah just got out of focus for you guys? What the-
There's some really interesting miniatures to have that bright of a light.
Yeah.
I like how you all said that in unison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you ruined it.
Pretty, shiny.
Did you just quoted my gym partners a month?
Yes, I did.
You know, it's not that old of a show, but it already feels like it's ancient.
Yeah. Don't worry, it'll rise back up with memes. It happened to
in about like 15, 20 years later down the line.
Yeah, it happened.
Just gotta wait for it.
Yes, gotta wait for it.
If it can happen to Lazy Town, it can happen to anyone.
Yep. Just ask Cat in the Hat that question. Yeah.
Oh yeah!
Yeah.
I'm so excited! Cupcake-inator!
And what I'm wondering is, why is Hedorah just why
Standing
is,
there?
No, well, besides that, why is he attracted to light? Like it seems like it's like he goes towards it, like he needs it. It's not like the pollution. That's I can understand that reason, but why light?
Here's the answer. Yes.
Okay.
Yes!
Okay. Fair
Always.
enough. Always. Okay. Best answer I got.
Yeah.
Why don't you ask Hedorah then? Get an interview.
I'll ask it. Oh well, maybe if Satsuma comes to G-Fest one year, I'll ask him that question.
Yeah, okay. He's just gonna karate chop you in the throat or something.
And then he'll just go, "I like shiny things. Leave me alone."
Look, man, I was just going for a face, alright?
In fact, I told them to put add glitter onto the suit.
He just shoots something out from his body.
In fact, I told them to add glitter to the suit. I want to look fabulous.
Yeah. He's like,
There we go with another bomb that really does nothing.
No.
Yeah.
Is it? Are they just annoying him? Is that their purpose? What do they?
Well, there was talk earlier on that oxygen might be poisonous to Hedorah. They never really explore that very well. And also, this whole part right here where the helicopter goes down and kind of blocks the view a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's also kind of unnecessary because he just keeps coming forward anyway. And if it does in one of the wide shots, the debris just disappears from the battlefield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like right now?
Yeah, like right now. Yeah, which is another reason why I think this third act could have used a lot more tighter editing.
Right. Like nothing is happening.
Yeah.
At least, like for those who complain about the action sequences in Godzilla '84, it's like there's still like music.
Yeah.
There's like people running around.
Yeah.
There's the military moving about. There's like the political stuff going on with the atomic bombs.
Yeah.
Here, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Do something.
Get on with it.
My only issue with like '84 and the destruction scene stuff is because it seems like Godzilla's sleepwalking at times. Cause he's just sort of like nonchalantly moving.
Yeah.
But that film has atmosphere and it cuts to different things. Yeah.
Interesting things. Not these two bozos.
Yeah.
They're looking at him. He's looking at them.
Yeah. Soon it'll be time for the second famous quote from this movie.
Oh, we're not there quite yet. Actually, we just passed it already, I think?
No, we didn't. It's coming up.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
How long does it honestly take for a monster to walk over to a trap?
Very slow.
The light. The light.
Go towards the light.
Oh, look at
Best actor in the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
That needs to be in the thumbnail. No, we're gonna have like the flying thing and then all of our reactions and just have his face react.
Yeah.
Oh?
No, Billy, don't look at the light! I can't help it. It's so beautiful.
There's our Bugs Life reference for the day.
Yep.
Yes. Always.
Then, bam, Godzilla does it for them.
Now, why did he do that? Did he just miss and got lucky?
I think it was intentional, but why does Godzilla's breath?
How does it work like that?
Also, how does he know that it works?
Yeah, how does he know that?
Like, I would say like this is one of the smartest Godzillas.
Yeah.
He
knows engineering.
And he knows. He knows like he knows like problem solving. He knows how to put two and two together.
He knows how to reprogram his breath so that it doesn't blow things up and instead sets off electronics.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he's gonna know how to hide himself inside of a warehouse in order for a conveniently timed entrance.
He must have been so proud of himself too. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit here and wait. This is gonna be so good. It's gonna be so.
It's gonna be so dope.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna show this sassy kid.
Yeah, let me see it.
Who's the real Godzilla?
Godzilla voiced by Bill.
Well,
Oh my God,
that's what the Godzilla gang is essentially.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Nakajima really gives a very nuanced performance.
Yeah,
in
it's
this
very different.
Yeah.
He's got himself like the equivalent of an eye patch here.
Yeah.
I'd say it's like the most humanistic like movements he's ever done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's got a lot. If you take a good look at the suit, you can see like all that like all the burns on his face and his mouth.
The discoloration.
From what I understand, from what I heard, like on Toho Kingdom in certain forums, that apparently Godzilla's one of his hands got burned down to the bone, or is that not the case?
I never heard of that.
I don't think so.
I think people may have misread like the white coloring on his hands.
Yeah, because if you take a look at the hands here, they're clearly black.
Right.
So I don't think that's. I think that was like.
Hey, he's doing his best impression of Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
Also, that's why he does that in the movie.
Yeah.
It's a reference.
It's a reference.
See, there he goes, doing his, knowing how to do basic problem solving.
Yeah, there's the spores. That's why Godzilla pulled them out. So that way Hedorah can't keep growing more powerful.
And he actually saw them before.
Yeah. Now Hedorah melts here, but how does he?
I guess that's just his outer layer that he sheds.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I noticed that the electricity effect that they used was the exact same one they used for every shot.
Yeah, well, optical effects has never been Nakano's strongest suit.
Yeah.
As much as I love the guy, he never really mastered the optical effects that well.
So, this was Nakajima's second to last film, right?
Yep.
And the reason why he decided to quit was because he just wasn't feeling the passion anymore.
Yeah, he felt that Godzilla had died with Subaraya, and there was really no point in going on.
Right.
Now,
Now there's
Here's the famous moment.
Better out the attic than out the basement.
Better out than in than I would say. There should be like a giant caption here that says "Because fuck you." That's why.
Yeah. I love in the Sony DVD the caption of the scene. Something you don't see every day.
It's gonna become iconic. Yeah.
Yeah, James Rock pointed that out in his video.
Yeah.
Also, I just realized that Hedorah is now back in his crawling form.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got both his eyes back.
Yeah.
All right, you win. You were goofier than I was.
Also, this whole part here, I think, probably could have been cut too because
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
it's
What was that?
Oh
He
shit.
did the Beerus method of just throwing
Yeah.
your body.
Right.
yeah.
And here's the Megalon method of dragging him by the tail and
He
then
does-
slamming him back down.
Yeah, he does this a lot in these later movies too.
Oh yeah, like Megalon.
Yeah.
He also does that like in some of the early Heisei movies too, like
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh yeah.
right,
You're right.
yeah.
Doesn't he do it to Ghidorah and Gigan too?
And Anguirus.
Yeah, and Anguirus.
Yeah.
Well, that was
And that was
Mechagodzilla, but same.
Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
And also to Batra in Batra's larva form. In,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
he's
true.
a big fan of getting some tail.
I actually used to do this whenever I would play like Godzilla with pretend Godzilla with my dinosaur, large dinosaur toys. I would do that, pick them by the tail and smash
slam
them
them
down.
Yeah. Yeah, and also with when he was brought on to Zone Fighter, like he would kind of do a similar thing, except he would tear the monster's tail off.
Yeah.
Like he did to the drill monster.
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. You're a fool. That was too late.
Oh.
Whee!
So was it fun for you?
Let's censor this part. I don't know what he's grabbing right now, but
Obviously, he's going for the slit on his face.
yeah, he's going for the eyes because, well,
You know what those are?
Yeah.
Let's tango.
Here's another example of the military's total incompetence in this film. They finally get their things fixed, and then
Yeah.
nothing. It goes for a little while, and then
That's
stops.
it.
Even Godzilla's like, wait, what the
Well,
fuck?
he's like, well, this is
Yeah,
awkward.
I give you more credit than this.
You
And you
idiots.
guys suck.
You idiot, so I have to do everything.
Oh.
Now this would have been like a cool
Well, he
reveal.
shakes his head.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
I gotta do everything, don't I? Alright, fine.
Now this would have been a cool reveal. Like, what was the whole point of even showing the incompetence of the soldiers, and just have him do the thing again?
Yeah.
Hedorah's sort of like dying squeal sort of sound effect is always stuck with me too.
Yeah.
Damn, he's punching right in
Yeah.
the face. There's an iconic shot right there.
Yeah.
Melting! I'm melting!
And now he has become part of the earth.
Yeah. It's the circle of life.
Circle of life!
It's the wheel of fortune.
Oof. Like he's like...
Now Godzilla's invented invented the double tap.
Yeah.
Oh god.
You gotta make sure it's absolutely dead this time.
Yeah.
Yep, he knows. Yep, he apparently knows that Hedorah survived. Each piece of Hedorah has the potential to grow into a new
Yeah,
Hedorah.
so he
just-
That's why he ripped the whole thing apart.
Yeah.
That's me
Nothing
going.
back.
Like he stomps the bitch into pieces too.
That's me going through the fridge at night.
And I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Yeah.
It'll keep you warm.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. To add to that, this is me when I'm trying to do a drawing and it doesn't turn out very well.
Yeah, fuck this.
Fuck this shit.
You just see the time lapse of the trash can getting.
Yeah.
Paper. Yeah.
Like I,
Look at that.
like I smash all the paper on the ground. Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
this what inspired your Gappa destruction?
Happy, joy.
Maybe.
Happy,
Happy, joy,
Pretty
joy.
frustrated, yeah. Now I gotta Photoshop Andrew's head on Godzilla. And
Don't you fucking dare.
I know this isn't gonna solve anything, but fuck it.
Fuck it, yeah.
Fuck it.
That's Godzilla's logic in
Yeah.
this. Well, in this case, it does solve everything.
Yeah.
And it does.
I mean, that's a neat, cool dissolve. That's a neat dissolve.
Yeah.
Like, the camera doesn't move at all.
Yeah. Now, what I'm wondering why is that electricity didn't affect him.
That'd be the same reason why his breath
Yes.
can cause things to go
Yeah.
off. 'cause
That's the answer. Yes.
Plus,
always.
plus I just forgot that in Sea Monster, electricity woke him up. So
yeah.
he probably adapted to
Even
it.
though
It does whatever the fuck the writer wants.
That's true.
Because the writer is ultimately the king, and
Do-
everything else can be up to him.
Do it
Or
live.
the studio.
Do it live, essentially.
Yeah.
But no, it can't be true. I can fly if I wanted to.
I love that moment when Godzilla looks at them like, this is all your guys' fault.
Yeah.
You do know that, right?
Like he's gonna come
I'm
back.
always going to be here to clean up your shit.
Yeah.
And he just marches off.
You owe me.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Don't be expecting me to clean up your mess next time. Ah, fuck, I'm gonna do it anyways. I need them. Oh, hell, I need the
I
money.
have a contractual obligation.
Yeah.
I'm looking for my next paycheck.
Fine, don't say thank you.
Remember when I was scary? When I was the one torturing Japan?
Veterans Farm, remember?
No, I like
That's
this.
cool. That's neat.
That's a nice
Yeah,
shot.
it's a nice little shot. Although I-
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is your fault.
Yeah.
symbolism.
They could just like a big pool skimmer and clean that all up. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Also, it's funny that they talk about the pollution in Japan, at the time, because living in Japan for close to a year and a half, it's like far more cleaner than anything I've seen in America. So I'm wondering if like this pollution problem has kind of gone downwards
Yeah.
over time.
I think it was like the mid '70s that one of Japan's prime ministers decided to go all out in solving the pollution problem. So, so I think that might have been a factor.
And oh yeah, and the whole like pollution, like wearing masks thing. That kind of sounds like what's going on in China right now. I mean, they have so many factories, so much fog in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, the kid! I forgot he was even in this movie.
Yeah. I'm so glad he contributed so much to this movie.
Yeah. His uncle's dead, right?
Yep. He's
Yep.
dead.
Yeah.
And nobody acknowledges that. Not even
Yeah, I know.
I know. What the
Even
fuck?
as a kid, I was like, wait, no one's gonna acknowledge him.
Yeah.
I mean, the girlfriend doesn't even say anything.
No.
Wait, is that the same?
Who is that? Who's that soldier? Who's he?
Oh yeah.
Poor job.
That's what he did before Gigan.
Hello.
Oh.
Thank you.
Gear on, yeah.
So is that the same girl who was in the dance club with the skin tight suit?
Yeah.
Okay, did she cut her hair between monster attacks?
Just a wig, maybe.
It was a wig.
Okay. Well, my uncle's dead and my dad's scarred for life, and I'm
Happy
also mentally
ending.
scarred. Yeah.
But all I care about is Godzilla!
I'm so glad I came to the end of this character arc. Wait, what did I learn?
Yeah.
Cut. Thank you.
Oh, they ran out the budget. They're using still images now.
God damn it.
And yet another one. In retrospective, no. Alright. So
that was
looks
our movie.
Yeah, we just reached the end of Godzilla vs. Hedorah, aka Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, aka Gojira Tai Hedorah. So, what did you guys think?
It was exactly the movie as I remembered it. Not bad, but I'm not gonna watch it that often.
I'm not gonna lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna lose any sleep. Trust me.
Yeah. Oh hell no.
It definitely shows a very innovative and intelligent filmmaker who could have used number one, a stronger script, and number two,
Stronger editor.
Stronger editor, yes.
Or an editor who would like take a stand against his senpai and say no.
Yeah, but I would say that Banno is still arguably one of the most distinctive Godzilla directors out there because whether you like Hedorah or not,
it's certainly memorable.
It's definitely memorable.
It's something you're not gonna forget.
Absolutely.
For better or for worse in some areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like say Godzilla Raids Again where it doesn't have like a strong directorial impression on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nobody wanted to work on that movie.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody, thank you very much for sticking by and listening to us as we discuss a rather interesting installment and certainly unforgettable installment in the Godzilla series.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
we give our toast to you, Yoshimitsu Banno, wherever you are.
I'm gonna toast you with an empty water bottle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll toast you with my G Fest stuff.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
To Banno.
The Banno.
And his memorable levels of creativity.
And his memorable levels of creativity.
Yes.
Yeah, let's hope IDW makes that Deathla comic. Right.
Okay, so as always, I have been Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir.
And I have been Andrew, aka Blue Eyes of Sapphire Night Productions.
Braden Connor.
I'm Patrick, aka the Unknown 837.
And thank you very much, everybody, for sticking around for KaijuNoir's G-Fest experience.
Oh yeah.